Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Fantasy Football Today. If you tuned in to see Jamie and Chris, we'll just wait a little bit. Chris is actually not on tonight's show. Jamie will be here shortly. I'm Adam Azer. Thanks so much for tuning in. Let's get going. You've got questions. We're here for the next hour answering your questions. It will not just be me. So I will just tell you really quickly about a very good fantasy feeling that I have experienced today. I went to do waivers in my leagues. I have one best ball league and I have 9 regular redraft seasonal leagues, whatever we call them in fantasy football. I have Darrell Williams in 4 of them. I had no idea. I think I have a little bit of Darrell Williams. It turns out I have him on 4 teams. That was a big relief. So I hope some of you have had that experience as well. One league, I picked Darrell Williams up just for no reason. Last week, I had a roster spot. I was like, you know what? Let's just pick up a handcuff. Let's see which one's available. And it was Darrell Williams. So I encourage you to do the same. Obviously, you can't do it with Darrell Williams or Devontae Booker because everybody's going to be after them now. But if later in the week you have some time and you have a roster spot to free up here, just add someone that is an injury away from being the number one waiver wire priority. Jamie is IMing me. He is lost. So we'll get our producer to send it. I sent him the link. I sent it to you. So he will be on very, very soon. Let me read your questions here. Would you use your top waiver claim for the Chiefs? Is that their DST? No. If that's what you're asking, no, I would not do that. I did see someone ask if they should drop Jarrett Patterson for Darrell Williams and lose the number one waiver claim. Yeah, this one. Yes, Forrest, you absolutely should. First of all, Jarrett Patterson is a great example. You should try to pick him up later in the week if you can. But he could be a hot commodity if Gibson's shin acts up. However, I don't know that that's going to be the case. So yes, you should definitely drop Patterson. You get Williams you can use right now. And Williams with Clyde Edwards-Helaire on IR and with Jamie Eisenberg joining the stream, Darrell Williams, you shouldn't even think about it. He is absolutely worth the number one waiver claim. We're a little too zoomed in. There we go. Hey, Jamie, what's up?
You started without me?
I had to. I'm sorry. Chris wasn't here today, so I had to get started. I don't like my camera shot. I got to change my camera shot. How are you?
Oh, wonderful. Mind the screaming children in the background.
Oh, yeah. I already had those. Let's see. Here we go. There we go. Does that look better? That looks a little bit better. Let's get to some questions. Do I drop Damian Harris for Darrell Williams?
Look, if that's the end of your bench, probably a 10-team league. I would hate to do that because, you're talking short-term versus long-term, and the last thing you want to see is, a trade for Marlon Mack at some point. But if he's hurt and potentially on the verge of losing the job to Ramondre Stevenson, it's not a horrible move.
One thing regarding Devontae Booker, are we looking that if Saquon misses 2 weeks and they go 0-2, they're 1-6, do we really think Saquon comes back early at that point?
I wouldn't put that on the early side. It's not a high ankle sprain. It's a low ankle sprain. So my guess, look, he wants to play. They're not keeping him up. This isn't a shutdown Saquon and save him for 2022. This is Saquon's going to play. He's trying to earn a contract, so he'll be out there.
Yeah. Should I drop Allen Robinson for Kadarius Toney or Emmanuel Sanders? 10-team full PPR.
It's getting harder and harder to justify holding on to Allen Robinson. So, yes, if your team is struggling right now and Kadarius Toney is going to help you, let somebody else deal with the Allen Robinson headache. Is he the biggest bust so far this year?
Yeah, I think so.
Non-injury related?
He has to be.
Who is him or Ayuk?
Yeah, but Robinson was 2 or 3 rounds ahead of Ayuk.
Yeah.
I think it's a layup. Yeah, it's him. Yikes. Is Wentz worth being rostered if I lost Russ? Oh, it's okay. It's just a quarterback question.
Yeah, Wentz has played well the last 2 weeks, and you know what this Texans defense is. They just gave up multiple touchdowns to Mac Jones, so I could see a situation where he plays well once again. It's funny because what if they win that game? He threw for 400 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's playing better. They were pretty happy with him against the Dolphins. I was just reading the quotes after the game. He's starting to make some better decisions. But one thing he's not doing, the first 2 games of the year, 23 rushing yards, 37 rushing yards. Since then, he has 13 in 3 games. He got hurt. So since he's come back from the injury and he kind of surprisingly played week 3 against Tennessee, 13 rushing yards. So he needs 2 touchdowns to give you a solid game. He needs 3 touchdowns to give you a great game. I did, Jamie, put in a claim for him in my one Russell Wilson league. So yeah, but I went Heineke first, followed by Carson Wentz.
So the way that I would look at him, I'm going to guess Bridgewater's rostered in that league.
I'm not sure.
Is it FFT?
No, it's the one league I play with normal people. Not just kidding. The one league I play with the non-fantasy analysts.
Yeah, I would take Bridgewater over Wentz, but I think they're right there.
Bridgewater is available. All right, I'll put in a claim for him. All right, should I trade Mixon for Mike Williams?
If you have the running back depth to cover it, yes.
By the way, I really like. There's a setting in this league, non-analyst league, that's very interesting, and that is you can only roster 5 running backs. So I have to drop Javonte Williams this week. But it's
to pick up quarterback?
No, to pick up Darrell Williams.
Oh.
But it's wild. Like last week I had to drop AJ Dillon.
I remember when you had that decision, yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of fun. It's like a nice equalizer. Makes the waiver wire a little bit better.
I hate
it. Try it. You never know. What do you think the chance that Marlon Mack gets traded to a team where he has value? And the rumor was that the report was that the Chiefs were interested.
So look at the teams that would probably be interested in him. The Chiefs make a ton of sense. The Ravens make some sense. Who are the other teams that are looking like strong playoff contenders that could add a running back? I mean, I guess maybe strong playoff contenders a bad choice of words, but like, would Atlanta consider it for a late round pick? Would Seattle consider it for a late round pick? Would
San Francisco?
I don't think San Francisco would. They're getting Wilson back in a month at the latest. And I
don't know that Marlon Mack is any good. We just don't know. He's coming off a serious injury.
Well, I mean, the Chiefs and the Ravens make the most sense because there's flaws in their backfield right now.
Yeah, but so I was thinking about that because obviously we have to put in big bids for Darrell Williams or use our number 1 spot. Should this Marlon Mack rumor deter you in any way?
The blurb on NBC Sports Edge. So that's the site, right? I always want to call it Roto World still.
I call it Roto World, yeah.
Suggested that he would take over lead running back duties even when Edwards-Helaire is healthy. I can't see that. I don't know if he's better than Darrell Williams. So I would imagine he comes in for depth. Now they just signed Elijah McGuire, who's been with them on and off the last couple of years. So clearly they're covering themselves. But I mean, my guess is they'll give it a game. They'll see how Williams and McKinnon do. And if they stink, then they'll probably try and be aggressive in making a move.
Would you trade Kamara, Waller, and Tim Patrick for Devontae Adams, James Robinson, and Hunter Renfrow?
Whew. So I guess backup tight end is Knox. So you're giving up Waller and keeping Knox. No, I think you're giving up the better side.
You'd rather have the Kamara side?
I think so. I mean, if I'm drafting, I would have taken Kamara and Waller over Adams and Robinson, respectively.
Would you trade Cordero?
I would probably try and trade Knox if you can.
Would you trade Cordero Patterson for Kareem Hunt?
Yes.
Would you drop Jalen Waddle for Kadarius Toney or Rondale Moore?
For Toney, yes, not more.
Heath would not drop Jalen Waddle for Sterling Shepard in our half PPR league.
Yeah, it's funny because you brought that up this morning on the show that I don't think you said you were going to add Sterling Shepard, but I think you made reference to that league on our Waiver Wire show. And then I had HQ show with Heath at noon, and he said that you want to add Sterling Shepard. And he said, Adam just sent me a message that we should add Sterling Shepard. And my response to him was, did Kadarius Toney die?
That was his response. Yeah. No, that's not what he said. He said, I thought Kadarius Toney killed him.
Oh yeah, something like that. Sorry.
That's what he said. Well, I did put in a claim for Shepard putting Samaje Perine on IR, but I have a lot of Perine bids. So my second one was going to be Shepard dropping Waddle. He wanted to keep Waddle. Whatever. Let's see. I would really like to see what Waddle can do with Tua. I think he's a good fit with Tua.
Yeah.
So let's not forget the excitement we had. Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert I can't see how he's going to play. They're playing Thursday, and he's on the COVID list. Zach Ertz or Hunter Henry in PPR.
Sorry, my kids are so bad right now.
You don't have a door?
They're right outside the door. I still play Hunter Henry.
What? Really? I'm so excited for Ertz.
Yeah, I am too. But I mean, Henry's been good. They're chasing points. Cowboys struggle with tight ends.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Standard league running back priority: Gaskin or Williams. Dropping Alex Collins or Sermon.
In a non-PPR league, I would go with Darrell Williams over Gaskin. And I mean, why not drop both?
Is Gaskin worth adding in a non-PPR league?
I hope what we saw last week is a sign of things to come. You know, I mean, they're going to be in a lot of games where they're chasing points. And, you know, I think they have an identity crisis right now. I mean, you know, they seem to want to start the season as like this power running team with Malcolm Brown. They don't have the offensive line for it. And, you know, you could say Malcolm Brown maybe holds up better in pass protection because Gaskin is little. But, I mean, you knew Gaskin was little last year, and he was still very helpful for your team.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like he's been so bad either when he's run the ball. He just hasn't had that many opportunities. They do have an identity crisis. I think that was one of the hardest things for me with the Dolphins going into the show is I just didn't know what kind of team they were going to be. You know, you go get Will Fuller, you draft Jalen Waddle. I don't know. But their offensive line, every pick has just been so bad, basically. It's really set them back. All right, DJ Moore, Robert Woods, Robinson, Sanders, Antonio Brown, Waddle, pick 3.
The first 2 in Antonio Brown.
Yeah. Let's see. More questions here. Should I drop Tannehill for Wentz, Heineke, or Lawrence?
I think if you're going to commit to streaming, you know, and you don't have another roster spot to carry a second quarterback, then sure. I mean, look, Tannehill's down. We thought the strength for Tannehill this year was going to be maybe more passing and the addition of Julio Jones. And he's had Jones for what, 1 game, 2 games? And A.J. Brown's been banged up. So facing the Bills, I do not want to trust Ryan Tannehill. So I would take a chance on Heineke for this week and then just see what happens.
Where are you putting A.J. Brown this week?
Outside top 24. I mean, that's a brutal matchup, and I don't know if he's 100%.
No, apparently they're going to give him more snaps this week because he was not 100% last week. So hopefully getting closer and closer.
Yeah, but look what number 1 receivers have done against Buffalo. Bupkis.
Look, I have A.J. Brown in a league where I can start 3 receivers. I have Justin Jefferson, Kadarius Toney, and Devontae Smith. I have a decision to make here.
The only one that would be tough for me is Smith.
Right, and that's a Thursday game. I have to make the decision.
But it's a better matchup. They're almost back to back in my rankings. But you know, it's the FOMO with AJ Brown. I had a decision that cost me a win this week because it's a league where we play 2 receivers and a flex, and I have a PPR, and so AJ Brown came back. I made the stupid decision to bench Mike Williams for him.
Oh man, that was stupid.
Very.
I didn't cost you league. AJ Brown played 64% of the snaps. Pat from Ohio. Oh wait, I was supposed to read that. Would you drop Latavius Murray, Hunter Renfrow, or Chuba Hubbard for Tony in standard?
In a non-PPR league, I would drop Renfrow. I would hold on to Hubbard just to see what happens with McCaffrey's hamstring. If he pops that thing again, then you're going to be upset that you let go of him. Renfrow really has no value in non-PPR.
Hey, what's up, Pat from Ohio? Yes, it is the first time in a long time. Man, good for you, Venom 3D. Have fun, man. Have fun.
Enjoy yourself.
Trade Kamara and Lockett for McCaffrey and Jamal Williams.
Kamara and Lockett for McCaffrey and Jamal Williams. I guess so. I mean, the ceiling is obviously the highest for McCaffrey. Williams, I don't know what that does for you. You're giving up. We don't know what Lockett's going to be.
What do you think?
Really don't.
I don't think I've asked you yet.
For what?
Where's Lockett going to be with Russ out?
I think he's going to struggle. The ceiling plays are gone. And the reason you're starting Tyler Lockett is for the big blow up weeks. He'll have 60, maybe chance to score, 70 yards, maybe chance to score. I hate the setup for him this week. First game going into Pittsburgh, Geno on the road. Steelers defense getting healthy. It just feels like a bad spot for all the Seahawks. You're not getting away from Metcalf, but the other guys, I think you can.
Steelers DST 86% rostered. I did happen to see them in a couple of leagues. They became a pretty big priority for me. Pick 3 did that one. How about Lamb or Swift? Lamb or Swift, full PPR?
Swift. We did. So Dave does on our Tuesday HQ show. He gives us some trades from his trade chart. And usually it's a buy low, trade forward, trade away, buy low, sell high, whatever you want to phrase it. He had the trade away guys were the Seahawks of sell high on the Seahawks 2 guys. And I kind of push back on him a little bit because who's buying those guys at this point for what their value is?
Yeah, I don't think anyone's buying Lockett. I think you might find people who would buy Metcalf.
Maybe, but you're not selling them high at this point.
Jacob Gibbs thinks Metcalf's still top 5-ish. And
he might be.
I didn't agree at all, but
I still don't think you're going to go to anybody and say, give me DK Metcalf for what he was a week ago and get that trade happening.
Oh, no. But so what, does this relate to Lamb?
Yeah. So my counter to that was, or maybe I said this off the air, the sell high candidates, if you're looking at a wide receiver duo, would be the Cowboys guys because they're coming off games where they both played well. The volume is still really low. And Michael Gallup's coming back maybe within the next couple of weeks. So then what happens when you have Schultz playing at that level? Gallup's going to be clearly better than Cedric Wilson and much more involved. How much is the target share for those 2 guys? I'd be shopping Lamb and Cooper right now if you can.
The Cowboys, I was looking at Cooper in particular. He's had his last 4 games. He's had 2 games with 15 PPR points. That's his max. 15, yeah. 15 PPR points. How many wide receivers do you think have averaged per game 15 PPR points and played 4 or 5 games? So not missing much time. 15 PPR points. How many wide receivers have averaged that or more?
8.
15 PPR?
More?
24 wide receivers.
Oh, 24. Okay.
Yeah. It's not a lot. You know, you might, I got 15 PPR. It's really not that great. 24 wide receivers. If you want to throw Sterling Shepard in there, it's 25. And that was where he barely played in week 3. And he's still averaging 15, you know? So it's not that good of a game. He's a low-end number 2 these last couple weeks, scoring a touchdown. You're hoping that they're going to start throwing more. They threw 32 times last week, and they blew out the Giants. I don't see the Cowboys really as like a 26 pass attempt per game type of team. I'm hoping that they start throwing the ball more. But if they don't, then you're going to have a problem on your hands, especially with Cooper. And this week, if Cooper gets shadowed by J.C. Jackson, and that has kind of been what the Patriots are doing, he could have a terrible game. I don't know. How do you feel about him this week? A.J. Brown or Amari Cooper?
Still Cooper, but they're close. They're both, I think one is 22, 23. The other is 25, 26. They're not slam dunks. Like I would start Tony over both in PPR. Okay,
we got some Tony questions coming in. Get us to 100 likes. We get the like-o-meter up here. Take a look at our stream. And I'm going to hit like myself. So everybody hit like. Should I trade away Kadarius Toney coming off a big game? If so, who's a good wide receiver to target?
Trying to think somebody who's coming off. Maybe DJ Moore, if you think you can get that done, coming off a bad game. I wouldn't do that, but you never know what some desperate manager might do. Keenan Allen coming off, a couple bad, down performances.
100 likes. How about Metcalf and Lockett? Would you give up Toney for them?
I wouldn't do it for Lockett now, but I absolutely would do it for Metcalf.
Yeah. How about look, I am worried that I'm overreacting to Kadarius Toney's one big game, but it's 2 good games, but it's 1 huge game. And then you've got a crowded receiver room and you got no Daniel Jones, perhaps. Yeah. I'm worried, but at the same time, I think anyone who watched that game could be looking at a really good player here.
Well, and you referenced it. It was 9 targets, 6 catches, 78 yards the week before. I think he can do that in this offense.
Yeah,
pretty consistently. So that's pretty good.
They're kind of a passing team now. Their defense is so much worse than it was last year. I have Kelsey and Schultz, but not great wide receivers. Who should I try to get for Kelsey? The number 1 wide receiver, right? You do not accept anything other than Devontae Adams for Travis Kelce.
But if you're the Devontae Adams manager and you have Dawson Knox at this point, are you making that trade?
If you have Knox, probably Knoxed. But If you if you have no other tight end, I think it's fine.
How many good tight ends do you feel comfortable about right now?
4.
That's it?
It depends what you mean. I mean, I feel comfortable with maybe it's 3. Kelsey, Waller, and Kittle. I don't feel
Not
comfortable.
Andrews?
I'm sorry, Kelsey, Waller, and Andrews, not Kittle.
What about Pitts after a good game?
I can't. I think at the end of the year, from this point on, I think he's going to be really good. It's
From this point forward, how many tight ends do you feel comfortable about? If you have this guy on your team, I'm not looking to make a move.
4 or 5.
Is Schultz in that category yet?
No.
Is Knox in that category yet?
Well, here's the thing. Schultz and Knox, the answer is yes and no. I'm sorry to hedge on this. You probably feel the same way. I expect them to have some bad games, but I also expect them to be must-start tight ends, and you just take your bad weeks, you know?
So
I don't think they're going to be dropped at any point.
My question would be is if somebody comes to you with Kelsey asking for your best player, and you have Schultz or Knox or Fant or Gesicki or these other guys, Goddard, Ertz, whatever, let's say Goddard, are you giving up your best player for Kelsey?
As long as it's not one of the top 5 or 6 running backs, yeah, I probably am.
So you'd give up Adams for Kelsey?
If I were drafting again today, I'd draft Kelsey over Adams. Would you?
Well, I mean, it's a different story now because you have a tight end that you feel comfortable with potentially.
Yeah, so I'll ask the same thing to you. Yes, I would look to make that upgrade, and then I would try to trade Dawson Knox for a solid number 2 wide receiver. People are really buying into Dawson Knox, and I think he's going to be good. I mean, I think from here out, he's probably a top 8 tight end. But when you look at fantasy standings, there are usually 5 or 6 reliable tight ends, and then everybody else is very inconsistent or replaceable. So he just doesn't have enough targets for me. Yeah. So what about you? What would you do? You have Adams and Knox.
I probably wouldn't because I'm making myself weaker in another spot. It would just depend. Like if I have Devontae Adams and Mike Williams and Deebo Samuel and just those cast of characters, Marquise Brown, 1 or 2 of those guys, or it's Devontae Adams and Cooper Kupp and one of those guys. Then I would entertain it, but I think it's just you're shuffling one strength for another strength, so why would you necessarily move on from that particular spot? I think, based on what we're seeing right now, we may end up with 6 legitimately good tight ends. It just may not be the 6 that we thought. Take out, as of right now, just on sample size, take out Kittle and Hawkinson from the top 6, assuming Hawkinson can't rebound from the great start he was at, and you put in Knox and Schultz. And we have 6 legitimate tight ends if Pitts keeps us up and Andrews keeps us up.
Right. The problem with Pitts is that he's had one good game. He had a 70-yard game earlier in the year. It was one good game. It was without Calvin Ridley, without Russell Gage for what that's worth, and it was against the Jets. So,
but there's also, something to be said about confidence and, starting to build towards something.
I have confidence in Kyle Pitts. I do. But I'm not quite. No, look, I put him in the category. I'm not looking to upgrade if I have Kyle Pitts. Knox and Schultz, on the other hand, I just think they're going to be some bad games. I think they're going to be a higher end typical tight end. You know what I mean? Typical tight end is very inconsistent, gives you a lot of bad games. They're going to be on the high end of that. That's how I see it. I don't see them as studs, true difference makers going forward.
No, they're not studs, but this is the equivalent of, first off, the equivalent of last year of Logan Thomas and Robert Tonyan, where you got guys and you just got lucky, based on where you were able to pick them up. But it's also like when you take a quarterback late, and you just fall into like this year's Jalen Hurts. Last year was Aaron Rodgers. The years before it was Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. Clearly on a different scale for what those guys meant to their respective position, and obviously to the league and fantasy. But you're ending up with players that you could start, and you can see the flaws coming. Like you said, Knox isn't getting a target. Schultz is about to get an even more crowded receiving core. But for right now, I don't think I'm making those trades to get Kelsey.
That's fair. We have a poll up right now on YouTube. By the way, keep hitting like. We're at 124. Let's get to 200 by 8:35. I'm giving you 9 minutes to get us to 200 likes. And I know we haven't answered questions in a while, so we will go rapid fire in a second. Are you a believer in Dawson Knox? Yes. What does it say? Are you a believer in Dawson Knox? Yes, not yet. For me, it's kind of both. I believe that He might be the 6th best tight end in fantasy. I believe that he'll frustrate you sometimes as well. It's just a matter of Cole Beasley's had 2 terrible weeks in a row. You know there's going to be a Cole Beasley week. That could come at the expense of Knox, who had 4 targets on Monday night, by the way. So, anyway, I think there's a happy medium between being all in and not buying him. I think I buy him for sure. I don't buy him as like a true stud difference maker, but I hope I'm wrong because I was high on him and I have him in 2 leagues and I'm rooting for him. I think it's
I guess I forgot a tight end who's also been playing well that came out of nowhere to an extent. Gronk.
Oh, yeah. We will not have him this week. Would you drop Cooks for Tony?
No.
Half PPR, Kupp and Schultz for Waller and either AJ. Yes. See, this is yes.
Yes.
Right? Okay. You get a stud receiver and Darren Waller for Kupp and Schultz. Hell yeah. Drop KJ Osborne for St. Brown.
Yes. Make sure it's Amon-Ra St. Brown, not Equinemius St. Brown.
Yeah. How much fab for Geno Smith in a deep 2 QB league?
I haven't made a decision like that myself. It might be all of it, which is a scary thing to say. But if your quarterback situation is rough, you're talking about a month of a starting quarterback. And if he does take advantage of his legs and does take advantage of these receivers, he could be serviceable. He could be a top 20 quarterback overall, which would make him a starter in a 2 QB league. So, it feels icky. Like, when I was writing the waiver wire column today and I'm saying you got to spend maybe a significant amount of your fab. I didn't think I put a number on it, but it's got to be probably north of 20%, what's remaining on Geno. But the same thing maybe from Mike Glennon, which feels just gross.
Yeah.
But that's what you have to do in these leagues.
I know, but Rams and Panthers, it's for Glennon the next 2 weeks if that's what he gets.
Yeah, Glennon's not in the same category because Daniel Jones may play this week. If he clears the concussion protocol, he's back out there. But
right.
Geno, so their bye is 4 weeks from now. Seattle's bye is 4 weeks from now. I would peg it as he gets 3 starts at least. And if he gets 3 starts, that's valuable.
Jacoby Myers or Renfro?
Myers.
How much fab should I drop for Claypool and half PPR?
20%.
That's it?
At least.
So
if he's available now, that means that, it's probably a shallower league.
Possible. He could really use the wide receivers, I think. Would you rather have rest of season Claypool or Michael Thomas?
Michael Thomas, but I'd rather have Claypool and Allen Robinson.
Yeah, okay. Jamar Chase or Calvin Ridley, rest of season?
Oh, boy. Whew. I want to say Ridley, but, this kid's just scratching the surface. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. He's a star. Absolute star.
Are you going to say Ridley?
No, I'm going to say Chase.
Oh, all right. Waiver priority, Madison, Dylan, Booker.
Oh, man. If you don't need Madison in case Cook is out this week, then it's easily Dylan. But, if you need to start Madison, then make sure you get him.
Yeah, we're hoping Cook comes back this week.
I think A.J. Dillon could be a flex play moving forward with Aaron Jones healthy as we're in the bye weeks and he's getting, 12 touches. I would think it's at least 12 touches the last 2 weeks, right? Because he had a high carry game in week 4.
Yeah.
And Matt LaFleur wants to keep using him. It feels like he's going to be Jamal Williams.
Okay. How about hold Debo or sell for someone like Darrell Henderson and a lower end wide receiver?
Oh, absolutely make that trade. I know Henderson's, you got to worry about the risk of injury, but this guy is on a great offense and he's getting all the work. And you saw an example of what Debo Samuel could be with Trey Lance, and who knows what the quarterbacks, they both could be hurt when we come out of week 7.
I'm buying in a little bit more to Debo Samuel than I was because I really don't think that they can go to Trey Lance. I just, unless that they're.
But they may have a choice.
I feel like, okay, maybe that's 1 week, but I feel like when Garoppolo's healthy, they've already said when Garoppolo's healthy, he's the quarterback. Now, obviously, they also said that about Andy Dalton in Chicago. But, Ayuk is nothing right now. He's not a factor. Kittle's hurt. Debo, he's looking really good. I'm feeling better.
Oh, I don't disagree with you at all. He's been super impressive. I think I said this to you a few weeks ago. The 2 guys for me, I don't know if you feel the same way, that I feel I completely whiffed on were Debo and Gronk. Just totally whiffed on. No, I had zero expectations for Debo because I thought Ayuk could be the guy. And, who knew what was going to happen with the quarterback situation. He's been an absolute star. And Gronk, just didn't expect him to get this opportunity and this much production. But I think if you could turn Debo into what could be a top 10 running back, you have to do it.
Okay, that's fair. And I still thought Debo was a sell high going into last week because he just had these 2 extremely fluky plays. Not extremely fluky, but 2 really long touchdowns. One of them was pretty. Trade DeAndre Hopkins for Mike Williams?
I'm not there yet, and I like the fact that DeAndre is kind of referencing his targets the last couple of days, or at least coming out of Sunday. So he's reminding Kyler who's his guy.
All right, drop Waddle for Darrell Williams.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Sell Fournette high for Darren Waller.
Yes.
Full PPR pick 2: Damian Williams, Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, Madison.
Vikings running back and Mixon.
Yeah. Is Chris Carson for Dalton Schultz good? Zeus?
Not on paper, but depending on what you have, and Carson could be one hit to his neck away from being done for the year. So if I would like to do better for Carson, I hate selling a good player low, and this is what you're doing, and you're probably buying a mediocre player high. So it's the opposite of how you want to trade. But if you're stuck and that's the best idea you can get, then you got to do it.
I ordinarily wouldn't read a screen name this revolting, but I had a screen name in high school that was very similar to this. So Waiver Wire, Gasket or Tony?
Tony.
Let's do a dynasty trade. Give Higbee, get Goff and Judy. Ooh, yeah. Ding, 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 right?
Yeah, 100%.
That's an A. And give Fant, get likely a late 1st and 2nd round picks.
I hope you have the tight end to give up both Higbee and Fant.
Yeah,
so
right.
that's hopefully trading from maybe a Pitts, trading from a position of luxury. So yeah, it's not bad. I mean, you're getting essentially what would be the equivalent of a high pick in Dynasty with Judy. And so now you're hopefully getting 2 firsts and 2 seconds out of it coming out of your draft leagues.
Do you have faith in Chase Edmonds as an RB2 or more of a flex?
I mean, either way, you're starting him, right? So yes, he's a starter.
All right, come on. We need more likes. We're at 167. I want to get to 200. Hit that like button. Who is the next Gator or Hurricane standout in the 2022 draft class? Nobody on Miami.
I'm trying to think.
I'm sure the Gators have some cornerback that's 5-star guy. He's going to be a 1st-round pick. Jamar Chase or Marquise Brown rest of season?
I love Marquise Brown, but you're talking about a teardrop.
You rather have Chase?
Yes.
I'm not so sure. Not so sure. Like the Ravens.
I mean, who knows how when Bateman comes back though?
Bateman. Who's Bateman? The Ravens. Who's going to throw more going forward? The Ravens or the Bengals?
Dave said something with Heath. It's very rare when I see Heath jump on Dave the way that he did today.
Okay.
Dave said that Lamar Jackson is barely a top 10 quarterback rest of season.
Oh my God, Dave.
And Heath went nuts.
Oh no, Dave, I don't think so.
So then Dave clarified it by saying he's his 6th best quarterback. I don't know if he felt pressure to say that or what, but because my reaction, like my eyes got big. I'm like, only top 10? Like what? And I think at first he said I can name 9 quarterbacks I would like better. So then I think he qualified it by saying 6th best. But I mean, it's hard to say that he can't be number 1 the rest of season. And Marquise Brown's been a big reason why. So if you want to go Marquise Brown over Chase, I'm fine with it. But I just think the ceiling's higher for Chase.
Okay. What is this? Look at all these names.
Yeah.
This is his whole lineup. Dalvin. So someone wants to trade him Dalvin Cook, Metcalf, and Russell Wilson in a 2 QB league for Tannehill, Julio, Emmanuel Sanders, and Mixon.
Dalvin Cook, DK Metcalf, and Russell Wilson for Ryan Tannehill, Julio Jones, Emmanuel Sanders, and Joe Mixon. That's the easiest trade ever if you're getting those guys.
Yeah, you're getting Cook, Metcalf, and Wilson. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. You'll have Kyler and Darnold. So that's a great trade. Would you trade Mike Williams for Justin Jefferson?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good trade. Thoughts on these free agents? St. Brown, Tyrell Williams, Darnold, Dan Arnold.
If you need a tight end, Dan Arnold is the guy. Because first game without DJ Chark, 8 targets, 6 catches. And Trevor Lawrence likes his tight ends when he's got one they can lean on. So he'd be my favorite, then St. Brown.
Somebody just commented, these trade questions suck. Hey, man, people are making good trades. Kirk or AJ Green rest of season?
Green.
Trade Lockett for Fournette and Gronkowski. That doesn't
100%.
suck. All right, fine. It sucks. 100% do it. Like, it sucks as a question. It's a good trade, though. Is Gaskin a sell high or is he good rest of season?
He's definitely a sell high because the body of work that you've seen so far, that was the outlier. But I still think that there's a lot to like about him moving forward. And if they use him the right way, which they finally did, this is you're not getting 2 touchdowns, but, heavily involved in the passing game. Think about what their receiving core is. They just signed Travis Fulgham. They're trying to patch this thing together as best they can without Fuller for who knows how long and who knows what's happening with Parker. So Gaskin on the field makes a ton of sense. So sell high, but don't just give him away.
Dawson Knox for Michael Thomas and George Kittle. Yeah.
No, it says Thomas or Kittle.
Oh, I'm sorry. Either way.
Either way. That's, again, this is how you trade. This is a smart way to trade. You're turning players that may be good rest of season, maybe great rest of season, but they don't have a track record. These 2 guys have a track record that you could hopefully buy into. Kittle's the one that makes me a little bit more nervous just because how healthy is he and what's the quarterback situation.
Yeah. Yes, we can get to 300 likes. We're at 230 right now, so we can get there. Get Russell Wilson. Oh, got Russell Wilson. Sorry. Taylor Heineke. Can you really not use their last names, please?
All right.
Taylor Heineke, Carson Wentz, or Teddy Bridgewater.
I like Heineke the best. 23 or more fantasy points in 3 or 4 starts. Gets the Chiefs this week. It feels like he should have a good game.
Boy, if that's your dog, Vladimir, do not come near me. That dog terrifies me. Knox or Hawkinson rest of season?
Oh, man. Hawkinson.
Why don't you guys have a dog, Jamie?
I have 3 children that are barking enough.
Yeah, I know, but it just feels like you're missing the dog. That's all.
Where's your dog?
We have a cat. We have a cat. She would not care for dogs. CEH manager, invest Fab in Darrell Williams or Booker, or roll with Pollard and Javonte Williams. So, wait, you have to drop one?
Yeah, that stinks.
Well, you don't need Booker.
No, but
I think you have to go Darrell over Javonte, right?
Yeah, if you're stuck.
I'm wondering if people are going to use.
I like Javonte this week, though.
You do like Javonte? I wonder if people are going to use Pollard as a flex this week. We got some buys, and Pollard's giving you 6 points every week, 6 or more points.
Not bad.
Yeah, he's averaging like 6.3 yards per carry, which is nice. Tunyon or Dan Arnold?
Arnold.
Chubb for Ridley and Marquise Brown in non-PPR.
Yeah. Still, yeah.
You would take Ridley and Brown?
I would, yeah. I mean, if you have the running backs to give up Chubb for.
Would you trade Allen Robinson? Yeah, of course you trade Allen Robinson and Latavius Murray for AJ.
Yes.
Yeah. Where does Rashad Bateman take in the Baltimore wide receiver room?
So if Watkins misses any time, which, stop me if you've heard this before, Watkins missing time. He's had 7 or more targets in every healthy game he's played so far this season. So if you tell me Bateman's getting that, sign me up.
I'm so mad I lost that matchup. I'm like despondent. I was very.
So that's what happened. You started Watkins.
Well, remember, Jamie, what happened on Thursday when I texted you? I tried to put Alex Collins in for Sammy Watkins, and for some reason, it just didn't go through.
Okay.
And in the first quarter, I had like an open tab on my laptop, and I looked at the league. I'm like, wait a second. Did this lineup not get set? And nope, Alex Collins sitting there on my bench. Sammy Watkins is my flex. And I lost Barkley in the first quarter. I lost Watkins. I lost to Dave by less than a point in a league in which I dropped Michael Pittman and he started Michael Pittman. And I dropped Pittman and I lost my chance to get Madison because I had to claim Pittman for Madison. Dave got Madison. He started him. And I really needed that win. Can you discuss Stephon Diggs and his low production so far?
Great buy low candidate. Yeah. It's a byproduct of just a lot of mouths to feed in this offense. I mean, Emmanuel Sanders has been good. Cole Beasley's had 2 good games. Dawson Knox has been a touchdown guy for them. They're throwing to their running backs more than they did a year ago. So He'll come around. He's a great buy low candidate. I wouldn't give up on Stephon Diggs. Believe me, there's going to be a squeaky wheel game coming for him. Might be this week.
Yeah, and you know what? He's getting 10 targets a game. So it'll be there. I need to drop one. Chuba Hubbard, Devontae Smith, or Jacoby Myers?
It's got to be Hubbard.
Not Myers?
Not in PPR. I mean, Hubbard's going back to the bench, hopefully.
How good is Jacoby Myers, though, that you wouldn't have a handcuff like Chuba Hubbard? I don't know.
Well, first off, if it's non-PPR, you could drop Myers. If it's PPR, I'd rather have Myers. I mean, he's going to be a starter more times than not.
Breaking down the Patriots-Cowboys game. I mean, this should be a good game for him. They've had his two best games are the games in which they didn't run. Right? It was the Saints game. They lost big, and the Bucs game where they didn't lose big, but they didn't run. They didn't try. And he had 16 and 18 PPR fantasy points there. As of last week, the Cowboys had seen the fewest rush attempts in the NFL. I think that's probably still the case. Booker had 16 carries, and he was the only running back this year to score on the Cowboys. But it should be a good week, right, for Myers? You like him?
Yep, I do.
Okay. Khalil Herbert or Darrell Williams?
Darrell Williams.
Do you think Emmanuel Sanders is a sell high?
Absolutely. Touchdowns, not a ton of targets. Again, a lot of mouths to feed in this offense. So if you can get something great in return, then absolutely you should shop him.
What would you want alongside Darren Waller for Travis Kelce?
A low-end starting running back.
Is Fournette good enough?
Huh?
Fournette good enough?
If my running backs are bad, then yes.
Okay.
Chase Edmonds in PPR, I do that. Obviously, like a Kareem Hunt, I would do that.
Okay.
Darrell Henderson, I would do that.
Pitts is out. Should I drop Madison or Collins for a tight end?
Collins.
What would you trade Mike Davis for?
I would trade Mike Davis for, I guess if you're looking for another running back, see if you can get Javonte Williams, before he blows up. See if you can get
one thing I want to see on Mike Davis while you're thinking about that, because we knew.
I guess if you needed immediate help, I wouldn't be opposed to trading him for Damian Williams or Darrell Williams, just because you just need somebody for this week. Yeah. And clearly Cordero Patterson has been awesome. But receivers, I think
gonna get better.
Receivers, I think you're looking at,
Devontae Smith.
Devontae Smith is good. I was gonna say Kadarius Toney. You might be able to do that. It just depends. You're not getting an upper echelon guy, that's for sure.
What could you get for Christian McCaffrey?
The world.
Who's your number one pick right now?
Christian McCaffrey.
Not Henry?
No.
Not Madison?
How far off has Henry and Zeke been from each other since week 1?
Well, neither was very good in week 1. So let me see where they are right now. You want PPR?
Yes.
I think Henry definitely has more catches than Zeke. Henry has 132.5 points, and Zeke has 95.7. That is amazing. He's got 37 more fantasy points in PPR than Ezekiel Elliott. You know who's number 2? I mean, Eckler is the only one that's even close to Derrick Henry. Eckler's having a hell of a year.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, God. Sorry, I didn't mean to put that one up. Claypool or Myers rest of season?
Claypool.
Who would you start at flex? Henderson, Hopkins, or McLaurin?
Henderson.
I just traded away Hunt for Moore, and I have Saquon Barkley. Did I lose? Kareem Hunt for DJ Moore.
It's not Rondale Moore.
Happy.
Did you lose? No, that's a fair trade.
Would you? I've lost it. Sorry. Michael Thomas ranking rest of season.
Top 20.
Bobby Boucher or John Kimball?
I don't.
Shut up!
I don't know.
You be the judge, people. Chris Carson or Devontae Smith, PPR. I don't know. Is that rest of season or this week if Carson plays? I don't know. Well,
Smith.
That's the case because he's Thursday. But rest of season, who would you rather have?
Carson still.
Okay. Would you rather start Higbee at the Giants or Schultz at New England this week?
Schultz.
Pitts or Andrews rest of season?
Andrews.
Andrews or Waller rest of season?
Man. Still Waller.
Should I drop Marvin Jones and Allen Robinson?
I would hold Jones this week. I mean, the Dolphins haven't been good. They give up a lot of big plays. So
okay.
You can drop Robinson if you have to. Who would have thought we say that?
That's wild.
Keep Marvin Jones and drop Allen Robinson. Let's go.
Right. Drop Marvin Jones for Tony.
Yes.
Yeah. I've had no loot in my head all week. It's the only Tony song I know. Looking for more questions here. Yeah, Dalvin Cook's worth keeping, but if you did want to make a trade, what would you look for Dalvin Cook?
Travis Kelce.
I think a better strategy is to acquire Alexander Madison. You know, lock up that backfield to get the top 5 player every week.
Do you think that when they're both healthy, we're going to run into a timeshare now?
First of all, Last Action Hero is not underrated. It is garbage. It is widely thought of as one of Arnold's worst movies.
Listen, I never done a bad movie.
I don't know, Jamie. I've been thinking about that. They both touch. I think it might be like Zeke and Pollard, where Zeke gets all of the valuable touches, basically.
Right.
So it won't really matter. What do you think?
How do you keep Madison off the, like, if I'm Madison, I'm like, dude, look at me. I'm good.
Yeah, I know.
And you got Cooks banged up every week.
Yeah. Let's get to 300 likes. Where are we at right now? We're at 267. We can get to 300. Here we go.
That would mean 33 more. I think I could do the math in my head.
Good judge. Shout out. All right, Corey Davis or Amon St. Brown.
Corey Davis, but not this week.
Yeah, not this week. Should I trade out? Yes, you should do that. Who can I get for Darren Waller? This is, I think, a bad time to trade Darren Waller.
Yeah, you never want to trade from a position of weakness, and that's what you're doing with Waller, unless somebody's just still valuing his name and giving you something great in return. So you know what? If you want to sell low and buy somebody high, trade Waller for Jonathan Taylor.
What are your thoughts on Cam Akers and Dynasty with Henderson going well?
I think Akers will still be at least the number 2 running back. I would imagine he comes back as the lead guy if he's right. But if Henderson continues to do this, it's a 50-50 timeshare.
You know who I'm actually kind of concerned about is Travis Etienne. It's like 1 year you can justify taking James Robinson off the field. If he has another good year, what are you going to do?
I mean, the next coach in Jacksonville will have to make that decision because it'll be next year.
They must owe him so much money, though.
Urban?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they have to have an out with what he did. I mean, there's got to be some sort of a morality clause in there.
I think if they don't fire him right after it happens, what case can you make to be like, oh, we're firing you for what happened?
It could have been you F up one more time in this regard, put yourself in a bad spot, then you're done and your contract is voided. I don't know the legality of it, but
yeah. Well, look, if they're gonna rush for 250 yards a week like he wants, then ETN will be just fine.
Did you see somebody looked it up and he never did that in one game at Ohio State?
250 and 250?
Yes. But apparently they've done it multiple times since he's left.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think Chris Moore can keep it up?
So he's back on the practice squad, which doesn't really tell you much because they can activate him at any time. But with Amendola back, no. I think, did I send you the initial notes this morning with Chris Moore in it? Then I changed it?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
And the way the Waiver Wire show works is I give Jamie my Waiver Wire notes. He uses that for his column, and then he sends it back. Just kidding. Pick 2, non-PPR, Lamb, McLaurin, Mike Williams.
Lamb is out.
Lamb on the Lamb. Dak and Diggs for Mahomes and McLaurin, PPR.
I do it.
Oh, I would, much rather have Mahomes, I think. Yeah. Pick 3 is Lamb out again. Lamb, Mike Williams, Woods, Devontae Smith.
Smith would be the odd man out for me right now, but I might change that.
Well, you only have 2 days, bud. Trade Cooper Kupp for Najee Harris and Chris Godwin.
No. I mean, yes, I'm sorry. If you're getting Najee and Chris Godwin, I'd like that side better.
Kupp sucks. He didn't even score last week. Should I? Oh, Damian Williams or Mike Davis long term?
You can't think long term because Davis should have his job. Damian Williams is going to lose his job. Short term, Damian Williams, especially in week 6.
Yeah, but you can think long term. I mean, you got to. Would you take Mike Williams rest of season?
Would I take Mike Williams?
Mike Davis.
Yeah, because in 3 weeks we could be looking at Damian Williams as a backup, whereas Mike Davis might still be at least the lead rusher for the Falcons.
Maybe I'm the only one, but I'm not completely overlooking Khalil Herbert's role in that game. It scares me a little bit.
You look good.
I just don't think they're going to be able to combine for 30 carries or whatever it was against the Packers. We looked at Damian Williams' schedule and we said, first week is good. After that, it's not good. And they just may not be able to run the ball nearly as often or as well. So it scares me a little bit.
It scares you that Herbert might take away more rushing from him, even in bad matchups?
Yeah, I think that I sort of felt like Khalil Herbert would get 5 carries and basically be a non-factor. If they're going to be even close to 50-50 in a bad matchup against like the Packers, most teams just don't really run on them. They bleed the clock and they force you to throw. So I just don't, you know what I'm saying? Like Herbert's role, if Herbert has a significant role, then you need a good matchup, I think, for Damian Williams. Well, you don't need it, but
he'll be the passing downs guy. So
I guess that's a good point. Okay. Any chance that Allen Robinson is traded? And if so, what is his best destination?
I mean, the Bears were a playoff team, and they're going to be a playoff team, as bad as they might feel. So no, they're not trading Allen Robinson.
The Bears. You heard me say this on the show today, right? They're going to win 2 more games rest of the season.
No,
they're going to be favored in 2 more games. Let me tell you their schedule: Green Bay, Tampa Bay, 49ers, Steelers, Ravens, Lions, Cardinals, Packers, Vikings, Seahawks, Giants, Vikings. They'll be favored against the Lions, probably the Giants.
Where's the Niners game?
The Niners game's at home in week 8.
They'll be favored in that one.
Maybe. I'll take the underdog.
Where's the Steelers game?
At Pittsburgh in week 9. And I think that's a Monday night game. They're not making the playoffs. I can't see them getting more than
I don't think they're making the playoffs either, but they're going to hang around.
They might.
They're not trading Allen Robinson. I mean,
hey, I'm so sorry. We're almost done. We got to take a quick break here. My bad, Jamie. We'll be right back after this to finish up with your questions.
Joining Inside the NFL on Paramount Plus is a huge honor, and I'll be preparing with the same intensity that I did throughout my career. Brandon with the hand signals to emphasize his point. Amazing technique. Phil takes such a cerebral approach to this game.
You go down there and you bite his ankles.
He's an innovator. JB uses SAT words a bunch. Frivolity, that is a Harvard man.
Inside the NFL. New episodes streaming Tuesdays exclusively on Paramount Plus.
One of us is going to have to say frivolity on a show this week. Just have to look it up first. PPR, rest of the season, Mixon or Swift?
Wow. Swift.
Jamie should be asking Adam the question. You know what? I appreciate that Jamie asked me questions. It really means a lot to me that Jamie values my opinion. So
I very much value. I mean, think about the things that you've said so far this season. You were ahead of Dawson Knox before he broke out. You thought that Dak Prescott could be a little bit of an issue because of the volume coming down, which certainly has.
I did?
Yes.
I don't, great. I'll take it.
There was another one I was thinking of that you got.
But yeah, my favorite one has been Tony. Because I nailed that. But that's, there
was another one that you had. I was thinking
a lot right and some wrong.
No, there was one that you got. What am I thinking?
Well, Kittle was my biggest bust.
Oh, that was a good one. Yep. You said Kittle be a bust. It's, injury right now, but before that he wasn't playing well. So people should recognize it. There was another one that you had though. That was, Brady. You were all over Brady being not that, no one was saying Brady's going to be bad, but you were very high on Tom Brady.
Who'd you rather have, Brady or Barkley?
Barkley.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jamie. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
No, you get too much flack for offering your opinion as a host, but your job is not a traditional host. It's like when I host FFT on HQ. Your job is to engage us and to question us but also to offer your opinion. And I think your opinion is should be very well respected. It's very well respected by your colleagues, and you do a great job with, keeping us in check, especially when I'm a jerk, and some of the other guys get a little too long-winded.
I gotta tell you, I hosted the baseball podcast for 10 years, I think. And I knew nothing about fantasy baseball. At least when I started the football podcast, I had played for a while. And we'll go a few minutes extra because I'm wasting your time. Sorry. But I have learned so much from everyone I've worked with. It's been amazing. I mean, Scott White taught me everything about fantasy baseball without sitting down and teaching me. I learned so much from him. And then Al Melchior with the advanced stats and things like that. Chris Towers with his statistics. So great stuff. And then from the football side, I was a fantasy football player, but working with Dave and Jamie beginning in 2009, I just learned to look at it so much differently. And then Heath comes along, and the job has gotten so much different, Jamie. We have so many more tools at our disposal now. All the advanced stats, the true media, being able to watch the film and all those things. So since I don't do baseball anymore, I've just been able to devote so much more time to football, and I've just learned so much from everybody I've worked with. So it's really been a lot of fun. I'm definitely a different host than I was even just 3 years ago, I'd say. So thank you for all your help along the way. DSD, Colts or Rams? Oh, Rams.
Rams are number one.
What if Jones plays?
Rams are number one.
Dan Arnold or Zertz?
Ertz.
And how much fab?
10 to 15%.
Do you think Kadarius Toney is here to stay? Do you think Shepard can repeat his first 2-week performances when he comes back?
I think Kadarius Toney's here to stay. I think that Shepard can definitely be productive, maybe not to those heights. The one that makes me the most nervous, honestly, is Kenny Golladay. I just don't know how he fits in to the same degree that we thought he might fit in now that these guys have played the way that they have.
I think I saw Toney's leading the NFL in yards after the catch over the last 2 games. And it's not like he's had one of those weird, he caught the ball and nobody. He didn't have a Debo play, Which running back could you get for CeeDee Lamb?
His name value should be able to get you somebody like Kareem Hunt potentially. Antonio Gibson, somebody's concerned about the shin injury. Hell, try to get Barkley while he's hurt.
You mentioned Gronk and Debo as players we whiffed on. Kareem Hunt. I thought he was going to be one of the biggest busts. And I can't believe what he is doing.
Yeah, I also thought he would be more of a bust, but it's not like we were telling people not to draft him, round 5, round 6. The other 2 guys, I was double-digit rounds for Debo, and why are you drafting Gronk? That's how stupid I was.
Right. I think I said Gronk was one of the worst. He looked like Jared Cook from 2020 going in the 8th round or something like that. I was like, Gronk's not gonna do that. Claypool or Toney in standard scoring?
Claypool.
Would you trade Mike Davis and Jamison Crowder for Robert Woods?
Yes, 100%.
And blow my fab on Toney?
No, but you can spend a significant portion of it.
Which quarterback for Marquise Brown, 2 QB?
If you don't need him, maybe Russ. Just because clearly the manager would probably be willing to move him. But if you're looking for somebody to start right now, I would say Marquise Brown should be able to get you maybe Joe Burrow.
Okay. Yeah, because in a 2 QB league, obviously quarterbacks are so
right. You're not getting the upper echelon guys. You're not getting Herbert. You're not getting Brady. You're not getting Kyler, even though he's got a couple of down weeks fantasy production wise. I think Burrow, maybe Stafford. Those would be guys I'd be looking at.
Okay, a few more here. Will Marlon Mack get traded? And I'll just ask you this: do you think we should add and stash Marlon Mack in the event of a trade?
So if you have, 6, 7, 8 bench spots, absolutely. 5 bench spots, it's hard to justify it unless you have IR guys and you're. So like in your case, for example, you're saying you're putting in claims to put Samaje Perine on IR. Obviously you could drop Samaje Perine for Marlon Mack just to see what happens for a week. But in that case,
as a mixing manager, I wouldn't.
As a mixed manager, you wouldn't.
I really can't see Marlon Mack having a ton of value. Could you?
I mean, who knows? If he goes to the Chiefs and Edwards-Hilaire's done.
Ravens, yeah, but if he goes to the Chiefs, why would he start ahead of Darrell Williams?
I mean, Darrell Williams is not anything special. He's just been on the right team.
Is Marlon Mack, though? If he went to the Ravens, I would be excited about Mack on the Ravens.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I'd like to pick him up if I could, but I don't have deep enough benches for that. I guess. 2 more questions. Should I drop Latavius Murray to pick up Marlon Mack? That's not the question I meant to pick up. That was the question, though. Anyway, yeah. Would you?
No, I'd rather have Murray. So.
Okay. And last one: would you trade Zeke and Thielen for the Vikings running backs?
No.
Nah. Who would you rather have rest of the season, Zeke or Cook?
I'd rather have Cook, but I don't think Thielen's done just because he had one bad game. So you're trading 2 starters for 1, and I don't know if there's that big of a gap between Cook and Zeke rest of season. Zeke's been awesome since week 1.
Yeah, amazing. Who should I root for in the ALCS? Whoa.
Was it that?
Astros Red Sox. Worst nightmare.
That's your worst nightmare?
As a Yankees fan's worst nightmare, yeah.
I thought you were a Phillies fan.
Yeah.
I would root for the Red Sox.
I will not do that.
You can't root for the Astros after what they did.
I will root for any team that play. I would root for the Black Sox over the Red Sox. Okay, I don't care. Scandal does not.
What was your take on the whole John Cusack thing?
Was that a Barstool thing?
Yeah.
I don't do Barstool. What happened?
I think one of their guys went up to him because I don't know if he's a Cubs fan that was rooting for the White Sox or he just doesn't have an affiliation. I don't know. I think it was something related, like he rooted for the Cubs or he was at a Cubs game and then he was at a White Sox game. And the Barstool guy called him a bandwagon fan. And he started like rattling off White Sox information to show that he's a White Sox guy, but I don't know. It just blew up.
I guess I can't really comment on it.
It's like, I guess would you go to a Mets game and at the Mets game root for the Mets if they're playing?
I don't know. I don't really consider, as a Yankees fan, I don't really hate the Mets. I have friends and cousins who are Mets fans, so I would be fine with them doing well. But I would never root for the Red Sox ever.
No, but this is the crosstown, the crosstown teams. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like it feels like
me.
Chicagoans take it a little more personally, and I'm just saying this from afar.
I think it's a bigger rivalry than Mets Yankees.
But it's also more of a city cultural thing, right? Like,
South Side. Yes, absolutely. North Side versus South Side. There is that element to it. I don't really think there's that element to it with the Yankees. It's like Bronx versus Queens. That's not really a thing.
Right.
Yeah, I think I'd have to look up the Cusack thing, but I would have no problem with a Yankees fan like rooting for the Mets. Now, if Yankees fans went to Fenway and rooted for the Red Sox, I'd have a problem with that.
Well, that's different. That's totally different.
Yeah. But I think
it's really
in the Cubs.
It's really big down here whenever you see Marlins fans rooting for the Rays. I mean, people get all up in arms.
Forget it. Oh, man. All right, guys. Thanks, everybody, guys and girls, for coming out tonight. Very much appreciated. Jamie Eisenberg, great stuff as well. Thanks to Brian for producing tonight. And we will talk to you. Our next live stream is Thursday at 2 p.m. Make sure you watch CBS Sports HQ every day, noon Eastern, and then Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern. You're going 9 a.m. Eastern again?
Yeah, London game.
All right. Great stuff. Podcast tomorrow. We'll talk to you then. Have a great night.